Welcome to another live stream. We are live. I'm broadcasting from Hawaii, and we're going to get into the first live coaching of 2025. I can't believe it's already 2025. We've been doing this for a long time. Some of you guys have been here since the beginning, some of you are new, and it does not matter when you joined. Everyone is welcome. Anyone can ask a question. And I want to know, did you sail this week? Say hi in the chat. Let us know what's going on, where you are, and what's up. All right. So I want to get the Facebook group loaded up and jump into the questions from the week. Did I windsurf? Yes, I did windsurf. So I had a session, at least one session. It all kind of blends together. But I had I think I had a good New Year session and maybe a couple after that. It's been really busy though. I've had a lot of stuff to do with finishing my little house project. And so that's been taking up a lot of my time. So I missed a couple good days. We had some really good days on Maui that I missed because I was prioritizing the house project. But I had a few days on the water, and yeah, it's been fine. It's been good. Other things are going on as well. So that's part of it, part of life. It's something that I talk about as well, is that I think there's a mistake that's sometimes made where you try to do everything and then nothing ends up working as well. And so something that I've found has worked well for me is that there will be periods where windsurfing is not the main priority. So maybe it's supporting my wife and my family, or maybe it's like this little house project. And then there are other periods where windsurfing is the priority, and my wife knows and my family knows that, you know, windsurfing is my number one thing for this period of time. And I'm going to go on trips. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be doing whatever it takes to get on the water as much as possible. Now, everyone has a different family, work, life balance situation. And so something that works for me might not work for you. But I really find that this balance of extremes rather than balance of being in the middle works really well, because windsurfing is not a sport that you can do without being very extreme. It really helps if you can say, okay, I'm going to go at the drop of a hat to catch this forecast, and I'm going to be gone for 3 days. And you have an hour notice. I'm leaving in an hour. I'm leaving tonight, and I'm going to catch that forecast. I'm going to drive to Klitmiller, and I'm going to stay there until the wind disappears. And you can have that freedom in your life if in other periods of time, other seasons, you are not prioritizing windsurfing as highly. And I find that that balance works really, really well with work and family. And of course, it depends. Not everyone has such a flexible work situation or family situation, whatever it is. So it's depends on your situation. But I really think that it's something that more people should consider, having that extreme where you have certain seasons where windsurfing's much lower down, and then other seasons where it's a much higher priority. All right, let's get to the chat. We got Axel in the chat. Happy New Year. We got Jorg as well, who's had 3 sessions this week in southern Sweden. Jorg is a session machine. Jorg is an alumni of the Windsurfing Masterclass programs, and I love that you're getting on the water this much. It's awesome. We got Harold as well. Happy New Year. We've got Suna, who is saying, what do you guys like better, by the way? I could put it like that. Suna says, good evening, Happy New Year from Denmark. You had an epic 3-7 side-off session on the 1st. Great way to start 2025. We got Mike, Happy New Year. Ragnar's doing his ice surfing. I love it. I always love the ice surfing. And Ragnar and I actually have been messaging about how I can get up there. Problem is, I'm in Hawaii now, very far from the ice. But maybe when I'm back in Europe, I'll get up to visit Ragnar and get on the ice. I would really, really like that. I just think it looks so cool what he's doing. I've always been fascinated with ice sailing because you can go so fast because there's so little friction. And what Ragnar's doing looks, yeah, just so cool. We've got Matt as well in the chat. Matt says Happy New Year. You had a good session as well. Awesome. I love that people are getting good New Year's sessions. Love it, love it, love it. Joe as well, who has been on the water. Joe and I actually have been doing some one-on-one coaching, which is an option if you want. We can do coaching over Zoom. With Joe, it's something we've just started, so it's on the newer side for him. But with other people, I've been doing it for a year or even more than a year, and it's really cool what people have been able to learn through Zoom. Actually, it surprised me. In the beginning, when I started doing the Zoom one-on-one coaching, I thought it would maybe be more fine-tuning. But so far, I've taught someone to forward loop. I've taught someone to wave 360. It's amazing what can be done virtually with the one-on-one sessions. If you are able to get footage of yourself, either the POV footage like a GoPro or someone else filming you, which is actually better, then the one-on-one coaching might be something that helps you. Without the footage, it can still be helpful. With the footage, it can work really well. We got Tomas as well in the chat. And that's it. So let's jump into the Facebook group. Here we go. We've got the Facebook group loaded up. Let me see how it looks. Again, I've got a new streaming program, so every time I'm on it, I'm experimenting a little bit, and I wonder if I can make these sizes different. It's still not quite clear to me the best way to do this. All right, let's do something like this, and I'm gonna hide the chat. No, I gotta put myself on the other side. So there we go. There we go. Figure out how to do it. All right. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Okay. Hopefully that works. Let me know if it doesn't. All right, we got all that sorted. All right, we got the Facebook group up. Before we jump into the Facebook group, a couple housekeeping things. So if you go to windsurfingmasterclass.com, this is our main portal. Something that I'm going to do in 2025 is update this website. This is something I made super simple because as this coaching experiment has grown, I've tried to keep up with it, and this is what we have here because I just made this myself. But I'm going to get a better website this year. But everything is here. So if you want to join an in-person masterclass this year, there are 4 that are scheduled to happen and possibly a 5th. And so you look at the schedule. So we have 2 weeks in Morocco. The first week is already sold out. You can still apply for the wait list, but it's already sold out, and I expect everyone to join. Sometimes people drop out. Sometimes there are injuries, though. So if you want to join us in Morocco and you can't join week 2, you can apply for the wait list. There are still spots left in week 2. It's going to be an awesome week as well. And then July. So the dates for July actually are decided. I'm going to update this. So there's going to be the 21st. So there are 2 options here. It's going to be the second one, the 21st to the 27th. So I'm going to update this form. So if you want to join in Gran Canaria, and it's not going to be just Pozo. I'm really excited about this masterclass. Gran Canaria is somewhere that I've traveled to since I was a teenager. It's one of the main windsurfing hotspots in the world, and it's not just Pozo. It's also Vargas, and there are a lot of other spots, and I'm really excited to do a course there and show the island, explore the island. And then finally in Maui. We'll do something at the end of the summer in Maui. These dates are still not finalized yet. I've got to make sure that it works for me and it works for everyone else who's going to join. So if you want to apply for an in-person masterclass, these are the options. So there are 4, but one is already completely sold out, and the other ones are filling up. So if you want to join, apply now. And then as well, if you want to work on some of your tax or shove-its, and I'm working on some other courses as well, you can go to the learning portal. And if you want to shortcut this, it's just my.windsurfingmasterclass.com. We've got the fast tack course and the shove-it course as well. People are learning tacks and shove-its, and there are going to be more courses on there as well. All right, let's get into the Facebook group. Let's get into the Facebook group. We got Christoph as well in Santa Cruz. All right, so let's sort this by new posts. Again, if you want feedback for your windsurfing, post in the group. If you have a question, if you have a video, post in the group. Everyone is welcome, and I read everything that is posted. So Ragnar, ice windsurfing. This is interesting because there's no wind, but there's very little friction on the ice. And so you can pump up and get going and then have apparent wind. I find this really interesting. So anyone who's windsurfed only with apparent wind, which I guess would be on the ice or towed by a jet ski or a boat, will know what it feels like. And it definitely feels different than when they're when you almost a feeling of being a little bit backwinded. So you have to change your positioning. And I wonder, Ragnar, is that the same thing on the ice? Because in this situation, when it looks like there's very little wind, you're mainly using the apparent wind. So what is that like? Let us know in the chat. I'm really interested. Uh, Ragnar, while you type that response, talk about your question. So Ragnar's question is about pumping technique, and pumping is so important. Pumping is what it takes to be an elite wave sailor, because you have to have a good pump to be a good wave sailor, because there are so many sessions where the waves are really good, but the wind is tricky, and you have to pump to get into the waves. Or maybe it's difficult to get out. And getting out, I've said this before, say it again, getting out is a game of inches and centimeters. If you are 1 centimeter to the left, you're either going to escape that wave or it's going to break on you. Like there's hard lines. It seems like, oh yeah, there's a big line of white water coming in. But that is not true. There are hard lines of where the power is and where the power isn't. And to connect this with wave riding, that's another reason why it's so important to be going to a power source, because again, it's a game of centimeters. Where the power is really defined. And if you're on the right or the wrong side of that border, it can make a difference whether you're going out or riding the wave. And sometimes to get there, you've got to pump. The pumping is really important. Pumping is not just about moving the sail; it's also about pushing on the leg. And so Ragnar brings this up and he says that you can pump the fins, and he's saying on the waveboard the main method is to push on the front leg and front sail. So I'm going to push back a little bit. I think it's also very important to pump the board with a waveboard. But you're right that it's not, you don't have as much fin as on a solid board, so you're going to be pumping it all forward. So a question that I would put to the chat and to the group is, are you practicing your pumping? How confident are you in your pumping? And Ragnar, I think this is a really good exercise for you to do to get better at pumping on the water. I think this is really cool because you're having to find, with the sail, when you're pumping big pumps like this with the sail, you're finding where that power is and you're pulling against it, because it's not almost like you have to catch the wind with the sail. It's not like you just have to move it back and forth. There's a feathering to it, a fine tuning to it, and as well pushing on the board. Something here that you could do as well is to get lower. So I find it's helpful to also have a good amount of up and down motion with the body. And so there's a little bit of up and down happening, but it's a lot of in and out motion with your butt is going back and forward. That can also come So that could be really helpful. So we got Rich in the chat, and Joe is saying that my mic audio does not sound clear. So let's fine tune this. Does anyone else have issues with the mic audio? How about that? Is that any better? Is that better? I changed one setting. So let me know in the chat if that sounds better. All right, moving on. We have a question from Bay, and he's trying to do push loops in lighter winds. He's only landed them when he's been stacked. In lighter winds, he'll rotate okay, but it's much harder to get back into the sailing position before landing because the sail's empty and doesn't react to his. Okay, interesting. So we've got an issue with the connection. So I will have to. Interesting. So I have not had this issue before. Again, I've got a new streaming software and I'm figuring out its issues. Yeah, so all right. So here I made a change to the audio settings, which might prioritize the audio in whatever it's feeding out. So let's see if that works. Again, you guys are really helpful. Your feedback is really important because as I get this new software dialed in, it's your feedback that helps me realize what's working or not, because obviously I don't hear myself. And I have other mics, I have other things that I can use in this setup to mix and match and play with. I'm going off of the Wi-Fi right now, but I have all the supplies to plug in to the router. So your guys' feedback is really important. All right, we've got Daniel as well in the chat. Moin, moin. All right, let's get back to the coaching. So this is really interesting. This is a good question. Push loops in lighter wind. Where do we get here from? Push loops in lighter wind. So push loops are easier to do when the wind is strong. Sometimes if the wind is too strong, then it's too hard. And push loops are a move that take a certain amount of wind. And the less wind you have, the more challenging it is. And it can be that there's a limit where it's too light to do them. So you need to be powered up in your sail. And so I guess, babe, the question that I would ask is this an issue with bigger sails or being underpowered on smaller sizes? Because both of those make push loops harder. Push loops are easier on smaller sails where the whole kit is smaller and easier to rotate. And they're also easier when you have a lot of wind. A push loop compared to a back loop is a much more physical rotation. It's much more of a somersault or a flip where your body is doing a lot of physical work. In lighter winds, because you don't have the help of the wind, the body has to do even more work. And so what I find is really helpful for doing very low push loops or push loops in lighter wind is forcing the whole thing around with the body. And it's a lot of work with the head, the torso, the hips, everything throwing into the rotation. And what I'm thinking about, the cue that I'm thinking about is getting rolled over the mast and on top of the sail. And I'm trying to do that as soon as possible. And if I can get on top of the sail, then I'll be able to push back up again. So a lot of times the problems when the wind is lighter, or also when you go too low, is that you're not able to get on top of the sail fast enough. So then you don't get the wind pushing you back up. But if you're trying to get over the top of the sail as soon as possible, that helps get you that lift, get you up again. So really physically using your body to do the rotation. And then here is the secret. This is the secret tip, is you want to think about with that front hand, so whatever tack you're doing it on, your front hand pulling that sail around and under you. So the front hand is very active in pulling the sail around and under you, because your goal is just to get on top of the sail. So you don't have to think about the whole rotation, just getting on top, because once you're on top and you get a little bit of backwind, everything slows down. It's easier, but getting on top is the hard part. And so it's that really conscious flip. And again, it's not a back flip. It's more of a twist, more of like a twisty somersault, because you're rotating around the mast. One of the tips that Levi Syra gave me when I was a kid learning push loops is think of the push loop like a reverse cheese roll. And I think that that's a really helpful tip. So Benoit, I'm not sure for you if you think it is. So let us know. So is this helpful? I think that this will also help you with the smaller sails. So if you're saying that you have the issue with being underpowered on the small sails, but just also always with the bigger sails, I think this is the issue. It means that you're using the wind more than your body, which is fine, but then you need to get into the habit of doing it more with your body. And so it's going to be that kind of throw and twist, and then also pulling the sail, getting it under you, right? So you're rotating your body to get roll over on top of the sail, but also super important is pulling the sail to get it under you. Because a lot of the times people do the rotation as a single unit with the body and the sail, but the sail can push ahead of you. I'll see if I have a video. I don't want to spend too long on the on trying to find a video of myself. Let me just see quickly if I can find one and then put it in, because I'm pretty sure I have some lighter wind push loops, but I'm not going to try and find them now on the stream unless it's really easy to. So I'm doing a quick look if I have one. I don't, but I'll post something in the comments of that. Try to find a lighter wind version. But again, it's using your body more than the sail is going to be the game changer, the difference maker. All right, questions. We have a question from Dan. What gym workout exercise help in correcting the imbalances of muscles used in windsurfing? What workouts complement the weaknesses of being a wave sailor? Very interesting conversation. One of the courses that I'm working on now is developing a fitness for windsurfers course with Cedric, who's an alumni of the Windsurfing Masterclass courses and also a sport scientist. And the course that we're designing is not just a workout program where there are workouts and you do them, though there is an element of that. It's much more about education. And so then you have the power to know what workouts are going to be most beneficial and most efficient, and how to make your own decisions, how to design your own workouts or choose from existing workout programs. So it's a lot about education so that you have that knowledge. Just there's so much to say. And again, we're developing this whole course about this topic. But just to say kind of roughly about this, I think that if you want to work on the imbalance, your leg strength is very important. So windsurfing doesn't work your legs as much as it works the other muscles, but your leg strength is huge for jumping, for injury risk reduction, for wave riding. You're pushing on the board, you're controlling the board in so many different ways, but you're not training those muscles as much, even though you use them a lot. So doing leg exercises, and there's a lot of different forms that this takes. So doing squats and lunges with weights helps a lot. Going cycling helps a lot. I rowed in college. I was on the crew team. Rowing is an amazing cross training for windsurfing. Absolutely amazing cross training for windsurfing, because you're doing your legs, your butt. You get a little bit in your back, but you're also working on your endurance, which is also important for windsurfing. So I would say that you want to get in some endurance training because that helps your windsurfing sessions, and windsurfing doesn't work the endurance maybe as much as something else. This is something that's going to come up in the course we're developing, but there are more effective ways of doing endurance training than just steady state. If you're doing interval training, interval steady state training, that's kind of an oxymoron. But I guess what I mean is low intensity interval training can really do wonders for your aerobic capacity. But so I'd mainly say leg strength, glute strength. Something I see not enough of is big butts. You want to have a big, strong butt, strong glute muscles, and even just doing rubber band exercises, doing the clam, stuff like that is really helpful for your overall fitness, but also for your windsurfing. I think glute strength is huge. Leg strength, thinking in chains. So you want to think not just of single muscle groups, but of all these muscle chains that you have in your body. So then, because everything is connected, right? And so if we're working, we need one part, we got to make sure the chain is strong. And so sometimes in that chain, the glutes are forgotten. Hips in general, I think hips are really important. You want to make sure you're taking care of your hips and your whole core. So that's kind of a splat answer to the question, but legs are a big one. Glutes are a big one. Thinking in muscle chains is a big one. Rowing is great cross training. So I hope that's helpful, Dan. Again, we're making a whole course on this. It's a huge topic. I think, though, if you're incorporating, let's say, an hour of rowing or cycling in your week and then doing some lunges and squats with weight, maybe doing some medicine ball work, you're going to be feeling pretty fit. You don't have to do that much. Like, I think if you do an extra 2 to 3 hours a week, you can really get a lot done. We got Max in the chat. Happy New Year. Hopefully it's warm and windy for you. All right. Joe is in the chat. He is a Windsurfing Masterclass alumni. He was with us in Morocco last year. He is the amateur champion of the British Wave Sailing Tour in 2024, and he is organizing an event in Cornwall. So one of the most famous windsurfing locations in Europe, Cornwall, surfing location. And it is going to be, where is it in here? Cornwall, February 15th, 16th, and 22, 23. So I believe it will be. So Joe, if you're still in the chat, let us know how it works. So we've got 2 different weekends here. Is it both weekends or one or the other, depending on the forecast? Awesome. Very cool. So Christoph is saying that table tennis is good for his stamina and bouldering for strength. All right, Kevin has a question. Has anyone tried this Goya? He wants to get a new board. He doesn't like the 2020, but he likes the 2022. I don't have experience with these boards, but we got 19 comments here. And this is the beauty of our Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Facebook group, it's Graham Ezzy's Windsurf Coaching Community on Facebook. You can find it by going to facebook.com/group/Ezzy Coaching. And you can ask questions where I don't have to be the provider of the knowledge because we have such a great community. I mean, this is a question about a board that I've never tried. We've got 19 comments, a great discussion. So it's very, very useful. You can use this group in so many ways. All right. So Joe has answered our question. He says it's one weekend with the second weekend, the rollover. So it's mainly the first weekend. And then if they need it, they'll use the second one. And there's a youth camp in the middle. All right, next we have a video from Unishi, and this is from Japan. Japan is one of the best surfing countries in the world. There's amazing conditions and lots of fun, lots of windsurfers. And Unishi's working on his Wave 360, and this looks really good. This is one of the best So a lot of people want to work on wave 360s and post videos in this group. And this is one of the best that I've seen for someone's first video. Now, it's filmed vertical or posted vertical. It's filmed horizontal. If you are posting in the group, please post your videos in the orientation that they were filmed, because this is a little bit hard for all of us to watch. So I would like to see it the other way around, but I'm pretty sure there's not a way I can do this in the Facebook player, right? And I can't save it or download it. So we just have to suffer through it like this. All right, but already off the bat in the screenshot, Unishi is doing one of, if not the most important thing in the 360, and what almost everyone gets wrong in the understanding, and that is leaning inside the circle. And so if you think of the circle of your bottom turn into the 360, you have a circle, right? When you're going into that 360, you want to be leaning into the circle. Most people, when they're getting up to the lip, trying to do a 360 in this position, their body is leaning the other way, and it just does not work. And so Unishi doing great, leaning into that circle, coming up to the lip, keeping the sail very open, coming up to a wave that's pitching. This is looking really good. Your form is awesome. You're getting all of this projection from the lip. It's almost pushing the board into a tabletop. You lose the straps. So Unishi, my main question is, when are you losing the straps? Because here you're on them, here you're on them. Maybe here's the moment that you've lost them already. This is so close to being a perfect 360. This is really, really close. I mean, my first instinct is to say that the wave might not have enough push here, but you're getting a lot of projection. Again, he's doing so many things correct that are counterintuitive. Leaning inside the circle, keeping the sail open forever. Look, he's still got the sail open here. In fact, that's one of the things Unishi could do a little bit less of, is already at this point, you could start sheeting in sooner, and that will help pull your body up. But it looks really good. The other thing that will help, and that is a wider grip on the boom. So right now, the boom grip is not changing from when you start the turn. Having that wide grip gives you so much control and power. And this is true if you're not trying 360s, but you're just riding waves. Having that wide grip is so helpful. So wide grip when you start your bottom turn. If you've been on one of my windsurfing masterclasses in the last year, you know that I'm really big on talking about bottom turn protocols, where you're setting up for the bottom turn, where you go grip wide, get low before you go. So you want to grip wide and get low before you go, because if you wait to do it in the middle of the turn, often you'll forget. So Unishi, the two main things in this setup, the sheeting in will make a difference, but it's really hard to think of that in the middle of the rotation. But there are two things that are easy to think about. The first is gripping wide, because you do that before the whole thing starts. The second, and this is a secret, I almost don't want to say this in public, because this will help anyone with their 360s. Am I going to give away one of these big secrets? Maybe. If my competitors are watching, anyone that's competing or plans to compete against me in the Aloha Classic, please mute your stream. So this is one of the secrets. You want to think about bringing this front hand to your hip. So you don't want this gap here. You want to be bringing this front hand into the hip, which, to be fair, Unishi is doing, but it can be a little bit more extreme. But to be fair, he is doing that. Again, Unishi, this is very close to perfect. Very close to perfect. We have Erasmus joining us. Yeah, Jaws is working today. Jaws is working. It is huge. Jaws is working. No wind. Southerly wind, light southerly wind, just surfing. All right, we got a post. Axel. Happy New Year, Axel. Thank you for posting. We've got a question from Chris. And so he's been in this group for a while, but this is his first post. And so he joined the Tacking Masterclass and it helped with his tacks in Fuerte. And now he's introducing himself and he's getting back on his water and he wants to learn how to wave sail. He's still working on his tacks. And let's look at some of them. We've got an app. I got a question. Can you guys hear this? So like when this browser is playing, can you hear it? All right, let's watch one of these tacks. Ooh, looks good. Nice fast tack. Coming around the mast, pushing the sail, closing the door, getting backwinded. Looks like he's taking his time. The footage is in slow motion, but it does look like he's implementing closing the door, count to 5 to stay alive. These principles from the tack course. Looks awesome. Cool. All right. Thank you for sharing. Great tack. Thanks for sharing. All right. This is something that interests me a lot. We talked about this a little bit at the end of last week's live stream. What are some identities that you've looked up to or wanted to become? Could be looper, Hokipa sailor, surfer. There's some good answers in here, interesting answers from people. So wave sailor is something that pops up. Solid, Mike says. Looper, wave sailor. Wave sailor is something that pops up a lot in here. Windsurfer with an emphasis on the surfer. Ripper, ambassador. I think that's interesting. Hokipa sailor, wave sailor. Wave sailor is something that comes up a lot. I think that's an interesting. I think that's an interesting identity. It's something that I find really interesting. And just like that, we are caught up. We are caught up. If you want to join an in-person masterclass next year, there are 4 happening. There are 3 that still have spots in them. You can go to the Windsurfing Masterclass website. That's just windsurfingmasterclass.com. And then you can go to apply here, or you can click this and go masterclass schedule and see them here. The dates for Gran Canaria are decided. It's going to be the 21st, the week starting the 21st of July. And the Maui dates are not yet set. But if you are interested in joining the Maui Masterclass in either August or September, please do apply now because the dates will kind of be decided, I mean, based on my schedule, but also on the first group of people who apply. So sometimes when these master classes are going to happen, but the dates are to be decided, that first group of people who apply really get to choose the dates. So if you are interested and certain dates work for you, apply. All right, everyone, I am going to sign off. Wishing you a wonderful windy week. I've been so busy with my house project. I don't know what's going on with the wind. We're in a Kona pattern at the moment where the wind is light and southerly. Normally the wind comes from the northeast, the trade winds. So I'm not sure what's going on with Maui wind. There are huge waves. Maybe I'll go surfing this week. Maybe we'll have wind as well. But whatever I get, I hope that you get wind and post in the Facebook group. I'll see you next week, Sunday. Take care.